We first saw it with the Civic, then the CR-V, and now it's time for the Honda Accord to receive an all-new trim. Introducing the all-new 2025 Honda Accord SE. Sounds sporty, doesn't it? As you can tell from the outside, you have a lower profile appearance and some gloss black bits, but is that all you receive for this SE? Well, in today's video, we're going to find out. We're going to check out the exterior, the interior, and do a thorough walk around to see what the new SE is all about and if it's the go-to for 2025. Now, before we get in this video, I want to give a huge shout and thank you to Atamian Honda here in Tewksbury, Massachusetts for letting you come down here to check out the new SE. Their link will be in the description below, so you can check out their extensive Honda inventory. So as always, let's begin with pricing. For the 2025 Accord SE, you're looking at a starting cost of just above $30,500, placing it above the LX in the lineup. Now, this would be the top trim out of the full gas-powered models for the Accord. So if you do want a well-equipped model and also a car that gives you some creature comforts and amenities, the SE would be the way to go. Now, some of you are going to be asking some questions if you do know a lot about this generation, saying, wait a minute, at $30,500, this is pretty much the same price as the EX for 2024. So what is different here? Well, the SE is really a sportier looking car than the EX, but Honda did implement some changes for the interior, which we'll check out later on in this video. But to be quite honest, with the SE, it's all about the design and the lower profile aesthetics. So let's take a look at the front fascia. So starting off with what hasn't changed, you are going to receive full LED headlights for an upscale appearance for a car at around $30,000. You're going to notice the gloss black grille, which does go very well and provides a nice color contrast on the paint color that we have here for this Accord. And then for the lower portion of the front bumper, you're going to notice more gloss black trim. Outside of that, nothing is different for the front fascia, as Honda has really aged up this particular model compared to the Honda Civic. And we saw that when this model first came out, where they dropped the V6, they dropped the manual. This is for an older demographic. However, I do think a lot of buyers do like the sportier look of the hybrid trims, and they want that out of their regular full gas powered model. And that's where I think the SE is going to be that great middle ground for many shoppers. Then as you take a look at the side profile, you are going to notice the 17-inch alloy wheels in a gloss black finish. Again, does provide that lower profile appearance that I think some of you are most certainly going to like for a car at around 30 grand. And those wheels will match the gloss black side mirror caps. Now, you're not going to have turn signal indicators, but you will have blind spot detection for added safety and convenience when you are on the highway or in the city and suburbs. Also from the side profile, you will notice the gloss black trim that outlines the windows. And again, just a nice classy touch for this model. Then as you make your way around to the back, there is one thing you do not receive with the SE that I am a bit surprised by, with this being a sportier trim. And that is a subtle decklet spoiler in gloss black. You receive that with the hybrid trims, but not with the SE. I would like to see that for future model years, because that would go hand in hand with the gloss black trim that outlines the taillights. Outside of that, though, the Honda Accord SE doesn't look any different than other trims in the lineup. And obviously for this generation, it is more mature, styled down. It doesn't draw too much attention. But I do think, though, that for a lot of buyers in the $30,000 price bracket, they want a car that inspires them to get behind the wheel, and this is a great way to do that. Now, obviously, you're not going to have physical exhaust outlets with this being a Honda Accord. I do think that for people who are more younger, looking for an enthusiastic experience, you're going to want to go with the Civic for sure, with the SI or Type R. Whereas with the Accord, this is definitely drawing in a different type of buyer and consumer, one who wants the necessities, but also the intangibles, such as fuel efficiency and just a car that gives them some practicality and interior space. Taking a quick peek under the hood for 2025, you are going to receive a 1.5-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine, producing 192 horsepower and 192 pound-feet of torque. As always, it is paired with a CVT. Now, if you are looking for a more vibrant experience, go with the hybrid trims. Not only do you get better fuel economy and also more creature comforts, it's also more fun to drive at 204 horsepower and 247 pound-feet of torque. However, if you want to stick as close to the $30,000 price mark as possible, the SE would be the way to go, because you still receive 29 miles per gallon in the city and 37 miles per gallon on the highway. So still very economical and affordable in this market. Before checking out the interior, you are going to receive keyless entry with a push-button start, but for a lot of you, you're going to love the remote start system for the SE, which is perfect for people up here in New England. during those cold winter months. Hopping inside the all-new 2025 Honda Accord SE, you're pretty much greeted by the exact same interior that you found with the EX last year at this time. The SE is basically a direct replacement for that EX trim in regards to pricing and also features. So I don't think any of you are going to be surprised by what you have here at your disposal. So with this trim, you are going to receive heated cloth seats for both the driver and passenger, with the driver's side having 10-way power adjustability and lumbar support, whereas the passenger will have to manually find their ideal seating position, which we saw with the EX last year. Now, I know some of you are going to be asking some questions saying, oh, what is the upholstery like with this trim? Is it going to be comfortable? Is it going to feel any different than the EX? Absolutely not. Bolstering is rather firm, but I love the support for the backs of these seats. So I think a lot of you are going to be comfortable on a longer drive or on those weekday commutes. This is a very comfortable car to sit in on a daily basis. Better yet, by going with the SE, you are going to receive a full digital gauge cluster. So you're not missing out on that for a car at around $30,000. Now, even though Honda does not have the most in-depth and intuitive digital gauge clusters or infotainment systems, they do pride themselves on their technology. I have to say, the resolution and quality is pretty top-notch here. Now, I will say there will be a bit of a learning curve here, because if you want more of a traditional layout, I would say stick with that, because you are going to have about 5 different layouts to choose from. And by going with the analog gauge layout, this is going to be easier and more straightforward. So on the steering wheel, you will notice 2 dials, which will control both gauges. And by using the dial, you can scroll through a variety of information, such as your remaining fuel range, your average fuel economy, also speed and time, driver attention system, so if you're not paying attention to the road, the Accord will notify you about that, your seatbelt reminder, then of course the maintenance and safety and support systems. So from here, you can turn off road departure mitigation, blind spot information, and also your collision mitigation braking system. I would leave all of this on for added assurance and peace of mind when you get behind the wheel every single day. It's also from this screen where you can adjust the brightness of the digital gauge cluster, your vehicle stability assist mode, basically traction control on and off. So everything is within arm's reach. You don't need to look at the center console or the infotainment system. Then, of course, you have vehicle settings as well. So you'll have the tire pressure monitoring calibration, driver assist system setup, meter setup, keyless access setup. So everything is all right here. It might take a few minutes to get acclimated with everything, but it is very cleanly laid out. For the left dial, you can scroll through your AM, FM, USB, and Bluetooth. So basically everything for the head unit. So pretty much everything will be in front of you, so you won't have to be too distracted with the infotainment system or button layout. Then taking a look at the infotainment system, you will have a 7-inch touchscreen with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto compatibility. Obviously, for a car at around $30,000, you will not have onboard navigation, but you can just use Google Maps or Waze. Now, one thing with this screen is that it is more trimmed down compared to the larger infotainment system on higher trims. So keep all of this in mind. You are going to have physical dials for the volume and tuning on both sides of the screen. And at the bottom of the head unit, you will find physical buttons that will get you to menus efficiently, such as your phone, radio, media, and then of course the Bluetooth connectivity. And you'll also have your menu and back buttons from here. Pretty much everything is straightforward. It's not too difficult to get used to. And in fact, it's not going to be super in-depth. So if you are looking for more of a tablet-like touchscreen, you're going to want to go with the hybrid trims for 2025. If you're somebody who doesn't want a tech-filled experience, this would be the way to go. Now, obviously, you will have a rear backup camera with trajectory, but one thing I do like to see from Honda is that you will have multiple camera angles. So you will have the standard rear backup camera, but then a 180-degree view for a lot more visibility when you are parking on city streets or in a tight garage. But then you're also going to have a camera that I would consider a bumper cam. So that way, when you are backing out of a tight spot, you won't hit the car directly behind you. Then continuing on with the rest of the interior, you are going to have that classy layout that we're seeing a lot more of in the Honda lineup, whether it is the Civic, the HR-V, CR-V, and then of course with the Accord. very cleanly laid out, very classy, very upscale. Now, one thing I will say though is we'll have hard touch plastics on the dashboard. So it's not going to be as luxurious or as refined as what you're going to find with those hybrid trims. But for a car at around $30,000, this does feel rather nice. Beneath the head unit, you are going to find the buttons and dials for your dual zone climate control. That's pretty cool to see for a vehicle at this price point. Your AC, front and rear defrosters, also of course fan speed and fan direction, and obviously your 3-level heated seats. For the center console itself, you'll find 2 USB-C inputs and a decent sized cubby for some smaller items, maybe a smartphone, wallet, or your key fob. Then of course you'll have your gear selector next to your 2 cup holders. You have normal mode and eco mode, so if you want to maximize the fuel economy out of this car, you can do so. You also have your auto start stop button, your electronic parking brake and brake hold. For the center storage compartment, you have plenty of room for smaller items and a 12-volt outlet, so you could probably store a couple smaller gadgets here with no issues. Then to round out the front seating area, you do receive a power moonroof, which will bring in a lot of natural light to the interior, and again, for a car at around $30,000, this is a nice touch for the cabin. Then for passengers in the back, there's 2 new additions here for 2025 that we're going to see across all trims for this model year. Now, I think a lot of you were demanding this in your sedan at around $30,000, and Honda listened. So you are going to have 2 center mounted air vents and 2 USB-C inputs. So if you have the kids sitting in the second row and they had their iPads or smartphones, they'll be able to charge that up with no issues at all. Better yet though, with this sedan, you are going to receive close to 41 inches of legroom, which is close to being class leading in this market. So if you're somebody who doesn't want to buy a crossover, you don't want an HRV or CRV, you're going to have the interior space necessary to have people of all shapes and sizes sit in this car. Now, obviously, with it being an Accord, you are going to have a lower roof line, so taller passengers might be hitting their head on the headliner, but in regards to shoulder room and legroom, those passengers are going to have a lot of it because this seat is adjusted most of the way back and somewhat on a recline, and I don't feel claustrophobic or cramped at all. In fact, you could have someone around the height of 5'10", 5'11" sit back here, and there won't be any issues at all. Then to round out the second row seating area, you do get a center armrest with 2 cup holders, and also there is one more amenity that you do receive by going with the SE that you're not going to find with the LX. And that is the 60-40 split for the second row seats, so that way, if you do have a smaller child in the second row, you can still store longer items. Now, speaking of storing items, by going with the Accord, you are going to receive right around 17 cubic feet of room. That outclasses the Toyota Camry and would be on par with larger and more expensive cars at around $50,000, $60,000 that we see with the 5 Series, Mercedes-Benz E-Class. So if you're looking for a vehicle that is practical and suitable for a family, but not in crossover form, the Accord gives you that practicality. It gives you that sense of versatility that we don't see in these markets anymore. Better yet, beneath the floor mat, you are going to find a spare tire. So if you encounter a flat on your road trips or travels, you can fix that and be back on the road. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this quick walkthrough for the 2025 Honda Accord SE. If you did, please like, comment, share, and subscribe for more. Also, for those of you who are looking for a test drive, I'll leave the link to the EX trim I reviewed here last year. And pretty much the SE and EX are the exact same. No sports suit suspension. So I think a lot of you are going to find that review very relevant if you do want to buy an SE for 2025. But guys, once again, thanks so much for watching. Take care, and I will see you guys next time.